Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Rammer, jammer, yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
Hey everyone, welcome back into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I am your host, Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. If you're not subscribed to Touchdown Alabama on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button below for me really quickly. Also be sure to leave a like whether you are subscribed or not. I am going to be here every Tuesday and Thursday evening to break down the latest in Crimson Tide football recruiting news. And on today's episode, as multiple targets for the Crimson Tide and multiple recruiting classes continue to lock in those visits, this is expected to be a big summer for Alabama on the recruiting trail, with the NCAA allowing visits to resume on June 1st after not allowing any recruits to visit any college campuses for more than a year. So I'm pretty sure a lot of recruits are excited to get back out on the recruiting trail. Alabama is excited to get these guys back on campus. So that is why our last couple of episodes of the process have been focusing on the guys setting visits to the University of Alabama. And today we have to talk about two 2022 guys who are worth talking about in terms of guys who are visiting Alabama in the earlier part of June. But before I get an opportunity to dive into where the Tide stand in their recruitment heading into those unofficial and official visits, I do have to hit you guys with some critical recruiting updates, starting with the Tide's 5-star quarterback commit Ty Simpson earning an invite to the Elite 11 over the weekend. The Elite 11 finals will be held in Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, Ty Simpson is from Tennessee, so the camp is going to be in his home state. He is going to be joined by some of the top quarterbacks in the 2022 recruiting class for a span of 3 days. Each of these quarterbacks will have an opportunity to go through some in-class type of drills, some on-the-field type of drills as well. So they will have an opportunity to ensure that their game is being prepped for the next level during these particular drills. Some other notable former and current Alabama quarterbacks who have participated in the event are Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Talia Tagovailoa, Paul Tyson, among the guys with Mac Jones who have participated in the event in the past. So Ty Simpson will have an opportunity to represent the Crimson Tide at this year's Elite 11 finals. Moving along to George Pettaway, a 4-star running back out of Virginia, including the Tide in his top 10 recently. The Tide currently has a verbal commitment from 5-star running back Emmanuel Henderson out of Geneva County High School in Hartford, Alabama. They want to add another running back to their 2022 recruiting class, and they are making that very clear. They will host a number of their running back targets throughout the summer, including Nicholas Singleton, a 4-star running back who has an official visit date set in to the University of Alabama in the later part of June. Damari Alston, a 4-star running back out of Georgia, will also visit the University of Alabama at some point this summer. So the Crimson Tide are making it clear that they want to add a couple of running backs to their 2022 recruiting class to go along with Emmanuel Henderson. This will most likely be a class where the Crimson Tide has at least 2 running backs committed in this particular recruiting cycle. We are going to basically wrap up this set of recruiting updates by looking at a 2023 tight end in Mac Markway, who actually is set to unofficially visit the University of Alabama in June. He will take visits to several schools during the month of June, including taking visits to Notre Dame, Ohio State, and a lot of other schools like LSU. So a lot of schools will have this particular tight end prospect on their campus during the month of June. And this is an interesting prospect because he's one of those old school type of tight ends, guys who can block, of course, and he has a good size at 6'4" and weighing 250 pounds. But he's also a kid who can run decent routes. He's a guy who can catch the football, be a receiving tight end. So you get the best of both worlds, one of those hybrid type of guys. The Crimson Tide have continued to try to pull in elite tight ends. Mac Markway is definitely definitely going to be one of the best tight ends in the 2023 recruiting class. So this could be a great visit for the Crimson Tide, a good opportunity to continue developing their relationship with the 4-star tight end in the 2023 recruiting class. He has been in contact with several members of the Crimson Tide's coaching staff since they offered them, most notably the Tide's defensive line coach Freddie Roach. So Alabama's entire coaching staff will try to continue to work on the relationship that Freddie Roach has built with the 4-star prospect. But that is going to wrap up this set of recruiting updates. Now I am going to roll into those guys who will unofficially and officially visit the University of Alabama in the earlier part of June. And the first prospect I want to take a look at is an in-state kid, a guy out of Park Crossing High School in Montgomery, Alabama. He is a 4-star. I will place him as a 4-star defensive lineman because he may play defensive tackle at the next level. He may be an inline defensive end. It's kind of hard to put him at a certain position because he plays all over the field for Park Crossing High School. He can rush from the edge. He can provide pressure from the inside. A very physical defensive lineman, one of the top defensive linemen in the 2022 recruiting class. Of course, Alabama likes to go after the top players in the state, but there's no denying that Khurtiss Perry is easily one of the top defensive linemen in the country in this 2022 recruiting class. Alabama will be the first school to get him on campus once visits are allowed once again by the NCAA. The first day that those visits are being allowed is June 1st, and Khurtiss Perry will be on the campus of the University of Alabama on that very day. Alabama's coaching staff has consistently continued to build a relationship with Perry. The Tide's safeties coach Charles Kelly has played a big part in his recruitment. Of course, Kelly recruits the state of Alabama pretty well for the Crimson Tide. Perry has been a priority target for Alabama for, I would say, a couple of years now. And he knows that he always says that he feels he is a priority to Alabama in this 2022 recruiting cycle. So Alabama will have him on campus on June 1st. This will be a big time visit because he's looking at schools all across the nation, including the Ohio State Buckeyes. So he is keeping his recruitment open. He knows that Alabama feels he is a priority. He feels that he has a good relationship with their coaching staff. So this is a visit to definitely look out for in terms of Perry's recruitment moving forward. A guy who recently set in an official visit date to the University of Alabama is 4-star offensive lineman Jacob Sexton out of Oklahoma. He will be one of the first guys to get on the campus of the University of Alabama for an official visit this summer. He is set to visit Alabama June 4th through the 6th. This is a prospect who will have an opportunity to visit Alabama for the first time as a prospect in June, but that will not be the first time that he has had an opportunity to see the program in live action. He actually was in attendance when Alabama took on Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, so he has some familiarity with the Tide's coaching staff. He was previously being recruited by the Tide's former defensive back coach Carl Scott. He was developing a good relationship with Scott before he departed from the program at the end of last season. He has been more so in contact with the Crimson Tide's new offensive line coach Doug Marrone. They have continued to build a relationship, and Sexton feels that he is in a good position with the Crimson Tide and feels comfortable setting an official visit date to visit Tuscaloosa on June 4th through the 6th. This will be the first official visit that he will take. He is slated to take a couple of visits during the summer. He said he is not going to release those yet. He's going to release them when he feels the moment is right. He currently has a top 5. Alabama is in that top 5, along with programs like Texas A&M, the home state program, Oklahoma. You have the program that is pretty close to him as well when we look at Texas. So there are a lot of different schools close to him that are recruiting him. At 6'6" and 285 pounds, he will most likely play tackle at the next level. Alabama seems to be showing a good level of interest in him. This will be another interesting visit for the Crimson Tide this summer, to go along with a couple of the other official visits that they will get from offensive linemen during the month of June. We look at guys like 4-star offensive lineman Jake Taylor, four-star offensive lineman Tyler Booker, and also taking a look at a guy like Dan Shore, another four-star offensive tackle out of Georgia who will take an official visit to the University of Alabama this summer as the Crimson Tide looks to build another solid offensive line class after landing a historically good offensive line class in the 2021 recruiting cycle. But those are the two guys I wanted to take a look at today. Khurtiss Perry, who will take a visit to the University of Alabama on the very first day they get an opportunity to visit campuses again on June 1st. And also taking a look at Jacob Sexton, a four-star offensive lineman out of Oklahoma who is considering the Tide along with a couple of other schools. His first official visit to any program will be to the University of Alabama from June 4th through the 6th. Two interesting visit dates to definitely pay attention to during the earlier part of June. But that will wrap up this episode of The Process. If you're not subscribed to Touchdown Alabama, do that for me really quickly. Hit that subscribe button below. Be sure to leave a like. Then head over to touchdownalabama.com. Pick up your subscription today. With that subscription, you will be able to read all of our subscriber-only articles. Get your hands on our yearly print magazine issue. Our newest magazine issue just went out recently. In this magazine issue, you get an opportunity to read about how Mac Jones went from an underrated high school quarterback prospect to one of the top quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft. So be sure to pick up your copy by becoming a subscribing member to touchdownalabama.com today. Then head to the Google Play Store if you have an Android device, or to the Google Play or to the Apple App Store if you have an Apple device, to download the Touchdown Alabama app. With that app, breaking news notifications can be sent to your mobile device. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst, Touchdown Alabama magazine.
Process.